So I am always really hesitant at writing book reviews, but I know I need to get good at it. So I've bought 2 books on writing book reviews, but I haven't read them yet.
Right.
So what do you like to see in a book review? Like
Okay.
what makes it a good book review for you?
So a good review from like a quality perspective, not just a stars
Yeah,
perspective, is
right, right.
when it's clear what it was you loved. So if you can say, like, for me, because it's romance, it's usually like, I really love the chemistry between the characters, or I liked the way the main character like X, Y, and Z throughout the book. So really anything that's answering a specific question or two. And you don't have to answer a lot of those, and you don't have to give away a lot of spoilers, but anything that's going to expand past it was a good book. Like, if you think about when you're recommending a book to a friend and you kind of put that lens in your brain about how you're writing the review, that's really what people are looking for. When you're talking about a review, like a regular review on Amazon or something, if you're talking about like a formal review of a book on a blog and it's, this big long thing, then you're probably going to touch on all the things, like how was the dialogue, how was the pacing, the plot, the character development. Like, you're going to get a little more technical, but on side, it's just as a reader, like, did this book do what it promised, right? So yeah, just looking at I really liked the way it did all the things the blurb said it was going to, or it felt like I really loved the ending, or I was really surprised by the twist, or whatever, that you can kind of just elaborate on what it was you liked. And if it is a sort of a series and you're looking forward to reading the next book, then saying that is really valuable. What else? Yeah, really just...
I like it when they can recommend it to certain people, like people that like paranormal will enjoy this, or
right.
people who enjoyed a particular book would enjoy this.
Yeah.
Because that too gives me stuff. Like when I'm going through the reviews, I'm using those reviews sometimes to identify things that I'm going to use in my marketing.
Yeah.
In particular, words that I see coming up time and again.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, thinking of guiding other people's purchases, and that as kind of your defining factor. So same way you would talking to a friend, if they were like, oh, I don't know what I should read next, and you can be like, oh, I really love this one because the action was amazing, I couldn't put it down, whatever it was, it kept me turning pages, I was dying to know like what happens to this couple at the end, or whatever. Yeah, then you can kind of think of it as really that's what you are doing. You're recommending a book to a friend. So yeah,
That's helpful.
okay. And yeah, even if you pick, like, because you don't want all your reviews to be the same. So if you know you're going to review a lot of things, if you pick one question to answer for each one, and so maybe you make a list of like 10 questions or 15 questions for yourself that you could answer, and then you just pick one question with each review that you sort of focus on in your answer, and then anything else that stand out, you sort of recommend that. Ooh, okay. Bonnie sent a picture. 1 second. Covers are fun. Okay, so yeah, anything else on reviews? Like Joanne or MaryAnn, Bonni, we're just talking about what would you like to see, like as a writer, what do you like to see in reviews other than 5 stars, obviously? But like content wise, what are some things for people who are learning to write reviews better? What would you like to see in them?
I recently took a picture of a review that I really liked that somebody else got, and I thought, and I was thinking exactly that. I wish someone would write a review like that for me. I just don't know if it's handy.
I think when I've read these 2 books, I'm going to write a blog post about how to write reviews.
That would be excellent.
But once I've read the books and written some.
Okay. And I am just gonna download this cover so that I can put it, if that's okay with you, Bonnie, can I put it into the chat so that everyone can see it? Or at least
However you want to do it. You can put it in the chat or you can screen share it, whatever you like.
Okay. Either way, I'm gonna download it first so that I can open it in big. Otherwise, a screen share of the teeny little one is gonna be sad. Okay.
MaryAnn, if you can share that, like,
I'll see if I can find it.
when you find it, that would be great.
Okay.
And while you're pulling that up, I will be back in like less than 60 seconds. I just remembered that I forgot to turn off the other second sprinkler.
I have a question for you, Crystal.
Yeah.
Where I know for us it's probably most effective if people can post reviews on Amazon, maybe BookBub, Kobo. Are there other sites that you find useful to have reviews up on?
Well, if you're exclusive to Amazon, then the Amazon sites, BookBub, Goodreads, because that's owned by Amazon, and lots of readers go there. And then that's pretty much it if you're exclusive. Like, those are the key places where people are going to be finding and deciding on books. But then if you are wide, you want a review on every single platform, or you want reviews on every platform that your books are, really. So that kind of opens things up quite substantially in terms of where all you
I'll wait
want
till
them.
Jenny gets back.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, those are the key ones, is really just where people are going to buy, plus Goodreads and BookBub, because those do generate some fuss, which is nice.
Yeah. I have a really funny, I went yesterday, I was checking my reviews and taking copies of everything. And I was on Goodreads and I found this friend of mine who very kindly bought my book at the local writers festival. And she signed up for Goodreads, and my book is the only book she's got on there, and she's given it a 1 star.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure she doesn't know how it works.
Oh no.
And I don't know whether to contact her and say, did you mean to do that? Or like, did you hate the book? Or is this just a boo-boo of some kind?
Because she's a total book review noob, I would actually have a friendly word with her. It's just like, do you understand how this works? Because there are some horrible people on Goodreads.
It's really funny.
But that doesn't sound like
she's not horrible.
Yeah,
no,
I would bring it up, and especially if there's only one book in her account, like, then people might think she's actually a troll, and it could get her banned from Goodreads. So, right, like if you're not, I don't know, if you're not actually using the platform, and the only thing you did is put a bad review for one thing, it sort of makes it seem like maybe you just had a vendetta against this person, but you're not a real user of the platform. So it's not a bad idea to check in for.
I'm a bit disillusioned with Goodreads, because writers like on Facebook groups and whatever, always griping about how horrible reviewers are on Goodreads and how they review harder and say irrational things, and that there are actual trolls and, I don't know, writer haters or something up there, because you get some weird stuff. I actually got a weird thing. A woman who actually subscribed to my list and had been on it for a while and was opening all my emails and seemed to be engaged, sent me an email saying that she was a reviewer, and that would I send her books. And I checked her out on Goodreads, and she was quite, she had quite a presence there and lots of reviews, and had read hundreds and hundreds of books. And so I said, okay. So, but she's not on Amazon. She doesn't read ebooks. So could I send her print books? So I actually shipped her 2 books to England.
Wow.
Not insignificant cost. And then forgot about it. And then all of a sudden, she sends me a link to one of her reviews because she'd read my latest book. And it is the kind of review that I absolutely hate. She gave me 3 stars, which is neither good nor bad. It's fine. Star-wise, it doesn't bother me. But then the review was 90% a regurgitation of the blurb on the back of the book. Nothing new, nothing added, not even like interpreted or, you know, filtered in any way. And then the last two sentences were that the manuscript was riddled with typos, and that 70% through the book, the author obviously discovered sex. And it's like, and it wasn't like they liked or didn't like or whatever. It was really value laden. Like, the author discovered sex. And I'm like, honey, I discovered sex in 1977. Like, what the heck are you talking about? What does this have to do with me? And there was not one useful word in the entire review. Like, did she like it? She clearly didn't like it, but it was just so stupid. I wanted to scream.
Well, there are a lot of
where did you post it?
On
Goodreads. Only on Goodreads, because she's not on Amazon, which is why I had to send her print books to England.
And there are a lot of people who just use the fact that they are reviewing to get free books. Like, it's not about the reviews, and it's not about
I can hardly wait for the review on the second book. And she sent me another separate email saying that she'd like to be on my ARC team. And I'm like, I don't think so. You are really messed up.
You don't need that.
Anyway, that just goes to show you how naive
So that's what
I
you
am.
don't want in a review is random commentary that doesn't seem to be constructive in its feedback, and also when most of the review is just a regurgitation of the book.
I hate that so much.
That's definitely a common thing that you see. And but using, like, when you're asking for reviews, if you use prompt questions with your ARC team and stuff, that helps a lot. Because I will often send them out, like, here are 3 questions. I would love if you could pick one and try to answer it as part of your review. And I do that just with my ARC team because they can be directed a little bit, and you've got a different kind of relationship with them. And, you know, some people struggle with deciding what to say, and then it's framed as, here, let me help you. So
I actually think
like,
a lot
this
of
is
people,
what I'd like.
I think a lot of people are afraid to review because they're not writers themselves, and they really can't think of what to say. They don't even know how to put their feelings into words. I found my ideal review here.
Okay, and what was that?
It was for Amy Reichert, and it was on Coincidence of Coconut Cake, which is like 4 books old or whatever. And it goes, ready for a treat? The Coincidence of Coconut Cake was a delightful read for me. Remember that glowing feeling when we read A Day in December? Imagine that with a slice of cake. It's a lovely story, a fight to save a restaurant, and a nod to second chances. Amy Reichert is a master at weaving the taste, smell, and the texture of food into her sentences, and if you are craving the famous cake at the end, you'll be pleased to know the recipe is included. I've had some heavy, long reads recently, and this book was a welcome, savory, smart solution. Have you read this one, or do you know any other books that blend food into a story so well it gives you cravings? I mean, it's very particular to that story, but it's like, it gives the book shopper a really good sense of what kind of experience they're going to get and what that particular reviewer liked about it. And it's complimentary, but it doesn't tell you anything really about the story. That's a spoiler.
So can you, anyway, you can type in the link to that review?
Or
I just
if it's a
screenshotted
screen,
Or it's on Amy Reichert's Instagram feed.
Okay.
It's AEREICHERT at AE Reichert.
Again, at
AEREICHERT.
Okay.
So I don't know what the image was. I just screenshotted the text.
Okay. And let's shift over for a second, just in case Bonnie has to run away. We'll make sure we get her cover glimpse in, and we're gonna get an exciting book review of her new book cover, which is fantastic. So, ta-da!
Oh, awesome!
Oh,
like it.
Nice. Very nice.
Really like it.
Really nice.
I like the way the desk looks so like contemporary. It looks like something you could go pick up at IKEA, which I think appeals to like newer writers, younger writers.
Really? Yeah,
What is
love
the shape, Bonnie? Like, what's your book size, your trim size?
Bonnie?
She maybe has.
It's small. It's not, it's small. Wait, let me look it up on
But
Amazon.
proportion-wise, like, it feels quite tall in comparison to the width.
Yeah, let me just look that up for a minute. Hold on.
Okay. And you said you were looking for, oh yeah, you've got an endorsement on the original from Julia Cameron, which is amazing, which you would still like to have on this cover, of course, because you're not crazy. And it's the ideal writer's companion. So you're looking for somewhere to have that featured
It's nice and
in
short,
as well, right?
so
Yeah.
it's not too
The
hard.
book, it's 5, well, the original book was 5 by 0.6 by 7.2 inches.
Yeah. Okay.
This looks taller than that.
Yeah, it is.
It does.
It's a weird shape.
It looks like 5.5 by 9 or something.
And I'm just curious, so you picked a standard print size? And
I
then
didn't
that's,
pick anything. I just asked him for a cover.
okay, so you need to pick your print size and then you need to ask for it to be in those proportions. And this is taller than normally, like, so when you look at the Amazon display thing, there are recommended width and height guidelines around that to make sure it will display properly on Amazon. So it's a good idea just to make sure that whatever your final print size is going to be, that's what you have, whether it's 5 by 8 or 6 by 9 or whatever, that you have your cover designed to that size. And then you use usually your print cover as your ebook cover as well.
So if you remember, I wasn't thinking of making a print book, but now I'm thinking about doing it. So this was originally just going to be an ebook.
Right.
So I have to wait until I figure out the print size to do that.
Just choose
Well,
one.
it's an easy thing to pick. We'll just go look at, and if you pick something that it works on KDP as a standard book size, it will also work everywhere else. If you pick one from Ingram, so they have some that Amazon doesn't have, but if you pick one that Amazon has, then Ingram has all of them and you have all of the options for distribution. So
Perfect.
you do want to, and you don't have to know like how many pages it is until you're ready to have the spine pinned down. But when you're looking at trim size, you need to know which of these it's going to be. So 5 by 8, or this is the 5.0.
The original was 5 by 7.2.
Right, which is not an option. That is not a standard trim size. So
Right.
yeah, you can pick something, anything that's close that will get you what you want, but you just need to tell him, because if you are hoping to use the same cover on your print books, you need margin built in for bleed around the edges.
Yeah, I don't know what the proportions of that one are, but it seems to me like you're going to lose a bit of height.
Yeah, it's
so maybe a bit of that space under your name at the bottom is going to disappear, or it might have to tighten up a little bit. I would put the testimonial at the very top,
like right
in that
here?
same script font in white. That's what I would do.
Okay.
You've got a little bit of room in here too, if it's like a much, like if it's not super bold, but it's just nice and light, then you could sneak it in there.
Yeah.
Okay, but basically the feeling is that I mean, I like it too. I think it's great.
Yeah, no, it feels great.
It's on
really
the old one.
Got a really good feel.
Yeah, I think it does too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, nice and modern, clean, fun with the pen, cute little detail in there. That's awesome.
It's
the
not
3D with
it's not as like
thing over top of the words is super. It's super trendy right now to have that little 3D bit, so that's good.
Okay. So do you think better 5 by 8 or 5.06 by 781? Like, I'm no good at this at all.
I would go, okay, so here's the other thing we're going to check is that in case you end up using vellum trim sizes, we're going to cross compare, and we're going to make sure that, see that as they're not all in there, but many of them are. And so you could go 5 by 8 or 5 1/4 by 8. And the best way to do it is to go on your own bookshelf and pick up a book that you like the size of, and then measure it, and then see which is the closest to that, right?
This is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. So you can see that your cover is a little taller.
But the original the original book was small. It was it's like it was like a smaller than normal size. So
How many
that it felt like
pages?
you could just carry it with you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, how many pages?
About 200, 224.
Yeah,
It was
so then you
styled
could
after
go-
the old affirmation books.
You could go smaller trim.
You could
if
go
you want.
5 by 8.
Okay.
Right? Like that's the smallest you can go and have it be standard and be able to use any of the layout things.
Okay. That
Right?
makes
5 by
sense.
8 or the 5.06 by 7.81 thing is also an option, but just measure both of those and see what you like
That's,
the feel of better.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Great. Well, I'm glad everybody likes it. I felt good
Yeah.
about it too. So
Yeah, it looks great. And it feels very you.
does it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and it's got beautiful textures and colors, and very well composed, and it looks very modern and fresh.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because the first ones they came up with were not good. And he said to me, I think the problem that my guys are having is that the original cover was so great. And I said, the original cover the artwork was done by my husband. So you feel free to, to jam right off of it and just update it. And basically, I feel like that's what they did.
Yeah,
So-
look how good it looks at thumbnail size.
Yeah, you can really see
Yeah,
what it's
yeah,
about. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you were going to change anything, you could make your name a tiny bit bigger at the bottom, but whatever. You can still totally clearly read the title when it's small.
Crystal, what do you think about putting Bonnie's name in the blue?
I think it would probably completely disappear.
Hmm.
I think it'd look great.
Not
but I
light
think,
blue, the dark blue.
Yeah, you're still going to lose a lot of contrast against the floor. I mean, you can have them do a couple variations and then post both and see
I'm just
what it
curious
looks like.
because
But,
there's so many, because the blue palette.
but yeah, I mean, you can try it, but you can see that like it fades a bit.
Yeah.
And it's a different tone. So like, I don't know. You can get them to try it and just show you both. And then you can see what feels like a good fit. If you were going to go the blue, you'd probably for sure need to make it bigger though, because it's going to be harder to read with that contrast disappearing.
And this is from 100 Designs, by the way.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Good.
Crystal, do you have a minute to be able to show what the old one looked like? It's just right on Amazon.
Sure. Okay.
So I just think it's interesting to see what the original was. And
Another tiny bit. We have.
so you can see they kind of, they did kind of riff off of it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool.
I gotta say, I like the new one better.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was a different era. This is over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was,
Oh my
actually,
goodness.
I love that cover, but it is dated. It was a different world then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it's
But I
great.
like how they kept the pen in there
Yeah.
in a different way.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you very much. I'm glad. I'm not going to put it up on the whole website. I'm not going to put it up on
Congratulations.
the,
This is exciting.
the big thing. We'll just
Beautiful.
post it here.
I think it looks very inviting. We all like that blue if you look at our backgrounds too in our houses.
And fresh. It's fresh. It really looks fresh.
Yeah, definitely. Approachable. Not too scary. Approachable. It's good. Okay, anything else that is at the top of the hit list you want to deal with? Questions that have bubbled up? We have a few more minutes and not a specific topic on today's agenda.
Are you having another session on Thursday night?
No, at the moment, I'm just doing one a week, and I've been alternating mostly between mornings and evenings. That said, next week there is an office hours because they are pulling my whole house apart and moving it to a different place. So I will have no internet and no computer desk set up for a few days, and then we'll return the following week on the Thursday evening, I think, all shiny and new. Let me just double check that I have my times correct here.
So I have a quick
question. I lied. Okay. The following week, it's actually the daytime one. So the 8th, October 8th, it's a daytime one.
Okay. I have what I think is a quick question, but if it's not, it'll wait. In MailerLite, if I have a sequence of events set up in MailerLite and I move some people from MailChimp into MailerLite, do they get that sequence, or can I stop them from getting that sequence?
It
do I have to make a separate sequence?
It depends how your sequence is triggered. So if your sequence is triggered by someone joining a specific group, then you could put them onto your list but in a different group, and then it wouldn't trigger that sequence. But if your sequence is triggered by someone being added to your list as a whole, then it's going to send to them. So the way around that would be to create a group, which might be like all of my onboarded readers, right? So you could create like fully onboarded list, and then you could move everyone into that group, and then you could change the activation incident to be when people get added to that group, it triggers that automation. And then when people are normally just coming in, you can either, like if you know you're going to move a whole bunch in, then you can do that without sort of setting that sequence off. You can also turn off an automation sequence and then move a bunch of people in, and then say you reactivate it, and then when you reactivate it, it asks you if you want all those new people to get that, and you can say yes or no. So those are two different ways of handling it, depending on how it fits into your ongoing system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to be playing with that probably tomorrow.
Yeah, because sometimes, like, let's say you have, if you've got streams coming in all the time from different places, like let's say you've got some people coming from a book funnel promo and some people who are just signing up from the back of your book, right? Those are different. You might use different onboarding processes. So I have different automations depending on which groups people come into. So I'll bring them into a group specific for that book funnel promo, and then I'll do like a manual follow-up a couple weeks after the promo is over and just say, I know you grabbed this book from the promo and I just wanted to check in and see if you liked it, if you're willing to post a review or whatever. And then I will manually move that whole group onto my full mailing list group, because I don't want them to get the onboarding emails and me checking in at the same time. And I don't want them to get an instant welcome email, because if you're in a book funnel promo with like 30 other authors, every single one of them just about is going to automatically and immediately welcome those people to their mailing list, at which point people unsubscribe, unsubscribe, unsubscribe. If you leave them alone for like 3 weeks or whatever, they finished unsubscribing to everybody else, and now they're like, oh, and then you're reaching out to see, I just wanted to make sure, you know, you're all good. If you enjoyed it, there's more in the series, or whatever it is that's your next kind of call to action thing. You can do that without sort of having been swept up in the
I haven't done that yet.
Thing.
Can't get my head wrapped around it.
It is a scalpel-worthy project to break it up and to map it out, because it is so hard to keep it straight. And I never remember after how I set these things up. So I have to like draw maps for myself and then make notes about, okay, well, this is how I did this, because after it's like unraveling 47 different chains that have just been in a box and shaken,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, it's just a giant mess.
Oh, yeah. I must say I was pleasantly surprised. I had been a part of a short story giveaway with my short story called Boone Park. And it started, I think, in August, went all of went July and August. And I didn't send a welcome email or anything. And then I did, thinking, oh, I'm going to lose half of them because I've waited too long. I didn't lose as many as I thought, which was a
that
pleasant
through?
surprise. But of course, now I have more subscribers.
What
It was a
funnel?
book funnel. It was
That's a
called
long
Summer
time.
Shorts. I know. But it's probably just sitting in a junk mail folder. They probably haven't found it yet. And that's okay. They'll find it eventually.
But sometimes if you wait, then it's good. It's like, bye, Bonnie. Thank you for sharing your cover. And congratulations.
Hi, Bonnie. Love your cover.
Sometimes when you do wait, then people are like not so swept up in whatever else was going on. So as long as you can remind them like why you're getting in touch, and that they did in fact sign up, that helps. Yeah. Anything else, or should we just go off all and write? Join the noon sprint.
What's happening?
Well, we're getting very excited about our transitioning to our new platform for Creative Academy. It's going to be amazing. We are saying
You're going to make that seamless for us, right?
Very nearly. Yes, it's actually so much easier, which is amazing. So, and we have a little handful of volunteers who are going to help us test before we make the leap, just so we know which help videos to have after ready. And it should be pretty streamlined actually, and easy for you guys to make that jump. And we'll have like a month and a bit to make the transition before our teachable space will kind of cease to be a thing. But I think you guys are going to try it and be like never going back to the other one, because so much easier to find your way around, and the search feature is amazing. It searches everywhere, pulls up all of the stuff that you have access to, and like, oh, so good.
That's for the main website, we're still using Zoom?
We'll still use Zoom for our stuff, but the launch like buttons and everything will be inside the community. But yeah, we're still going to use Zoom. We're going to keep all that the same. But we will have a way better functioning calendar, because the Glip calendar sucks, monkey butts. Not to put too fine a point on it, but it's terrible. And we'll also have, like for chatting and stuff, things just slightly different, but I still think it works way better. And you get like notifications, like a social media profile, to tell you what all is new since you were last in. And if we added a lesson, it notifies you in your little messages inbox. And it's pretty magical. So we're pretty excited to unveil all of that shortly. We've also pulled out all of the resources that we've linked to in our conversations in Glip, and all of the key kind of reference material from in there, so that as we switch out of Glip as well, we're not going to lose all the history of all that cool stuff that got shared. So we're pulling all of those and then putting them in as resources. And that way you've got everything nice and summarized. So basically all the links that have been shared, and any particularly helpful like process stuff we've also been making notes about. So we will extract all of the good stuff, and that's what we're kind of seeding things with, is all of that original bits and pieces.
Well, that's exciting. Crystal, I just want to say, I don't always have a lot of questions when I come to office hours, but I'm like absorbing it all. So hopefully when I do go published, I have like, it won't be so overwhelming to get it all at once. That's kind of why I come.
Yeah, it does. It helps a lot to have some of the language and just some of the ideas of what might be coming, because you don't know what questions to ask if you're not in it yet. You know, like it's hard to even know what to research or what to ask about. So I do think there is a lot of value in kind of getting that preview heads up, and in seeing some of the things that come up like with Bonnie's cover, like, okay, what are the things to think about when you're looking at print sizes or whatever? It's easy to just pick stuff without understanding the full context. And so even if you don't remember specifics, you know, a year from now when you're thinking about covers, your brain might be like, wasn't there a reason why I needed to like figure out something else before I committed to this? So it does give you just something to kind of go off of, which is handy. So, yeah. Excellent. Well, what do you think? Should we all go have a 10-minute break and then join the noon sprints?
I could use another coffee for sure.
I could do a half an hour sprint, but I've got to do Pilates, so I'll have to skip out.
There you go.
Half an hour.
Yeah,
Hopefully that
exactly.
gets the blood flowing.
Awesome.
Do Rena's evening sprints start today? It's Tuesday, right?
Maybe. Let me check. I feel like they do.
So it's a
Edit
triple,
the
it's a triple
calendar.
sprint day.
Yeah, all of the sprints. And we did add the Monday night library ones as well. So there's 7:30 to 9 on Monday nights. James McCann is hosting a sprint. That one's actually open to the public. So if you have a friend you want to bring or whatever, it's a different Zoom link. And so you can hop in and visit.
Yeah, Rena's is at 4, your guys' time.
Yeah.
So, yay.
Yeah. All the sprinting today.
Yeah, I may not be back for that one today. I'm taking my friend out for dinner for her birthday, but.
All right, excellent. Well, thank you for coming. I will post the replay.
But the Richmond Library sprint showed up in my calendar for tonight.
Ooh, that was last night, right?
What day is today?
Today's Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah, I didn't put it there. It
Definitely
just appeared.
Okay, so maybe I screwed up the Google Calendar. Let me just check that.
It's not on mine for that.
And-
Mine shows it last night, so it must be weird syncing stuff again.
Well, let me just check. We'll just be absolutely sure. No, I totally put it on the wrong day.
Oh, okay. That's
In
not
the
my
Google
calendar.
Calendar.
Wrong, right?
Well, that would explain why nobody but me and James showed up last night. Oops.
So Rena's isn't in here though. Oh, 4 p.m. Is that Rena's?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll try to do that too.
Is the
there.
Google Calendar
7:30 a.m.
link?
You can subscribe to our Google Calendar, and then it automatically goes into your calendar.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're not depending on the Glyph one.
Oh, you know what? I was looking at the Glyph one.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'll try
Yeah,
to figure out how to do that.
I had it correctly in one and incorrectly in the other. Sorry, my bad. This is why we are having just one. Just one. And Zapier will zap the one into the other and create events. And there's even like inside, there's like what's on for events. And it has these listings in different colors depending on how close it is to that thing happening. And you guys can add stuff. So if you start your own sprint, you just add it on there and then it shows up in the calendar. It's
Oh, can I ask a question before everybody goes? Sorry, just to, you know how I'm reissuing my Having It All series, and so the 2 old books are getting new titles? And Reconcilable Differences was going to be Making You Mine Again, and Disruption by Design is going to be Making Room for You. And I like Making Room for You better, but Making You Mine Again has been eating a hole in my head, and I'm not happy with it. And I came up with an alternative. So I just want to throw it out and see what you think. Be Mine This Time.
Okay, so type those in the chat.
Oh.
It helps to see them in print when they're titles.
Hold
in
on.
my head anyway.
Sorry, I'm working around a cat here. Okay. Be Mine This Time versus Making You Mine.
Is there anything with the series where you want to keep that pattern making?
No. The 3rd book is going to be,
Okay, what's the other title?
and then there's going to be a bunch of other stuff. And then the other one is Making Room for You. Making Room for You has a different tone than Making You Mine Again sounds too bussy. Like too, I don't know.
Aggressive?
something. Yeah, it just kept bugging me.
Stalkerish.
Yeah, stalkerish,
Love
kind
it.
of. I didn't like it. And Be Mine this time, I looked it up. There's no comps existing.
So what?
And it's very similar in some ways in terms of the elements of the story to Jamie Beck's book. She's got a trilogy, and the first one is called The Memory of You. And it's the same kind of thing. It's a second chance thing, and a woman who's got PTSD, and it's got a lot of similar elements.
So scratch everybody else. We only want to be concerned with you for a second. So what's the other book in this? Is this a trilogy, or like what are the other ones called? Because it's how all the titles fit together internally for you that matter. It's not so much what other people have done, but
yeah.
So we need to see if there's patterns or connections or how they feel as a group.
Trying to remember the names of the other 3 books that I have planned. What were they? Sorry. And is that it? Oh, wait, there's one more. Oh, this one's a bit different.
Before You Knew Me sounds like Jojo Moyes. I think that's, I mean, it's good. It's not the same title as hers, but it'll catch people's attention, I think, because somehow it sounds.
So they've all got a similar cadence except the last one.
Mm-hmm.
You've got 2 starting with making and 2 starting with before. That's what tweaks me.
Well, I know, but
and so the Before I Bend and Break one feels like bend before I break, or like it feels like bend and break is detracting from both of those words. Like, is there a way to shuffle them so that if they're all going to start with different things, they should all start with different things, or if you're going to go pattern, they should be similar?
There's song lyrics, so Before I Bend and Break, I wouldn't want to.
Okay. I did not catch that they were song lyrics. I missed that part.
Not song, yeah. Before I Bend and Break. So what would you do with Before I Bend and Break?
Well, I don't know if it's a song lyric, I guess you're trying to stick with it. But so what I was thinking is you want to switch up your word order so that they're all starting with different words. And Before I Bend and Break, it's usually a bend or break. And I don't know topically what the book is about, but
Damage.
Yeah. Like bend before I break. Like, is she trying to be more flexible so she doesn't break, or like I'm not sure what the essence of that book is.
Well, it's about a broken woman who has to learn how to be flexible in order to survive. But
before I bend. But like something, so what you seem to be hinting about is the transition or the or like the timeline of some things is kind of what these titles hint at, like making room for you. It's an action. Making you mine again. Before I bend and break is a time. Do you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
So I don't know if thematically that's a thing.
I don't
that you
think
want
that's
your titles
relevant.
to
It's
relate
not
to?
working for me.
Okay.
No, it's just more of a emotional tone, and
Yeah.
and there's the song lyric thing, and
So be mine this time. I mean, that seems to work with the others. The only thing I would say is that if you're going to change that, then you should change one of the ones that starts with before so that they aren't the same, because your pattern is that there isn't a pattern if they're all going to be different. Otherwise, if you were matching 2, 2, and 2, and there was like a direct relationship between
yeah, I
those,
see what you mean.
right? Like, because otherwise it's hinting at a thing that's not a thing. It's not an intentional pattern, and it will create the feeling of a relationship between those two things which may not actually exist.
I see what you mean.
And then it's a promise you don't deliver.
So, but do you agree that making you mine again sounds a little stalkerish?
A little bit.
The new one's
Yeah.
a bit better? Be mine this time. I mean, it's that whole second chance theme that I'm trying to hint at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like to be mine this time better.
Yeah. But then at least is an invitation, as opposed to like, I'm gonna take you to this bed if you don't agree.
Well, until the moment your eyes open, would you take the till off and just put the moment your eyes open?
Yeah, and I mean, if you were gonna put, yeah, I mean, it definitely wants to come down so that it matches. Yeah.
Before I bend and break. What other word could I put there?
Don't know. That's an excellent brainstorming exercise. Though.
Okay. Anyway,
And you
it
can
was the
put it
new
out
one
to the
because
community.
I have to decide soon if the covers are going to be made, and I just wasn't sitting well with making you mine again.
Yep, fair. If something is niggling at you, then you want to pay attention to that before it's in print and on all those things.
Okay, I'll work on that other one. It's like that book doesn't even exist yet, so.
And then people can weigh in if you want some immediate feedback. And on that note, y'all have 2 minutes to get coffee now. So run like the wind and recaffeinate prior to the sprints starting. And I will see you all soon.
See you there.
All right.